Picture a design authority review. 5 architects, 1 whiteboard. Someone has just proposed an agent that handles customer stuff. That's it. That's the whole proposal. 3 minutes later, the same person is being asked what business capability is mapped to, what happens when it's wrong, and who owns it in production. They have no answer to any of those questions. This is the single most common failure pattern in Agentforce projects. And it has nothing to do with the AI. It's what happens when you design an agent like a feature, instead of designing it like an architect.
Doc, why is there a whiteboard on a rooftop cafe? People are staring.
Because today's episode needs one. Last episode we killed the myth that Agentforce is just a chatbot. Atlas reasoning engine, 6-step loop, subagents, actions, instructions, trust layer, the whole thing. Today we go one level up. Because knowing the building block doesn't automatically mean you know how to design with team. I can hand a junior developer a hammer and nails and a pile of wood. And that doesn't mean they are going to build a house that doesn't collapse.
So today is about blueprints instead of tools?
Exactly. Today is about designing an agent the way a certified technical architect designs anything else. Starting from business capability, not starting from let's build a bot. Because here is the uncomfortable truth. Most failed Agentforce projects did not fail because sub-agents were misconfigured. They failed because nobody could answer the question, what is the agent actually responsible for? And what happens when it's wrong, before a single sub-agent was ever created.
Okay, I am sold. Put something on that whiteboard. What's step 1?
Step 1, and this is the one everybody skips. Define the business capability, not the feature. A CTA doesn't start a solution design by asking, what should the UI look like? They start by asking, what business outcome are we actually trying to deliver? And what does success look like in a measurable way? Apply that to agents. Do not start with, we need a customer service bot. Start with, we need to reduce average case resolution time for tier 1 shipping inquiries by 40% without increasing escalation rates. That's a business capability with a measurable outcome. Everything else, which sub-agents, which actions, which model, which guardrail, flows downstream from that one sentence.
So the agent isn't the goal. The agent is just one possible way to hit the goal.
Exactly. And that reframing alone kills half of the bad agent projects out there. Because sometimes the honest answer is a well-designed flow would solve this better than an agent. And a CT-minded architect is willing to say that out loud instead of forcing AI onto every problem. Step 2. Once you have got the capability defined, write that what I call an agent capability contract. Think of it like an interface contract in software design. A clear written statement of what this agent is responsible for, what it is explicitly not responsible for, what data it's allowed to touch, and what its failure mode looks like when it can't complete a task.
That sounds suspiciously like a job description.
It's basically is one for a digital co-worker, and that's not just a cute metaphor. That's genuinely how Salesforce architects are being encouraged to think about this now. Agents as a form of digital labor with defined responsibilities sitting inside an agentic enterprise alongside human employees. A job description tells a new hire what's in scope, what to escalate, and who their manager is. An agent capability contract should tell you the exact same 3 things in writing before you build a single sub-agent.
Give me the format. What actually goes in one of these contracts?
5 sections. 1. Purpose. 1 sentence, the business outcome it serves. 2. Scope boundaries. Explicitly what sub-agent and capability areas it covers. And just as important, what it does not cover. 3. Data access. Which objects, fields, and external system it's allowed to read and write. Map to the principle of least privileges. The same idea CTAs apply to an integration user permission. Just apply to an agent's own identity and authorization now. 4. Escalation and failure behavior. What happens when the agent hits its boundary or isn't confident? Does it hand off to a human? Does it decline? Does it ask a clarifying question? And number 5, success matrix. How you will actually measure whether the agent is doing its job tied back to that original business capability statement.
That's basically a mini design document before you have configured anything in Agent Builder.
That's the whole point. It costs you an afternoon, but it saves you the Frankencare 2 a.m. refund disaster. And here is a distinction Salesforce own architect guidance draws that I think is genuinely useful at this design stage. There isn't just one kind of agent. There are at least 5 patterns. Conversational agents, reactive, request response, the digital front door. Proactive agents triggered by events or data change, no user prompt needed. Ambient agents running continuously in the background, reducing cognitive load without anyone consciously invoking them. Autonomous agents working toward a goal with minimal supervision. And collaborative agents working alongside with other agents on a shared task.
So before I even open Agent Builder, I should know which of those 5 patterns I am actually building.
Absolutely, because it changes everything downstream. And conversational agent for order status needs tight sub-agent boundaries and a chatty tone. A proactive agent that flags at risk renewals needs event triggered and almost no direct user interaction at all. If you don't decide this upfront, you end up bolting proactive behavior onto a conversational agent halfway through a build. And that's exactly how you get scope creep. Let me tell you about the Frankencare Return Concierge project. 3 weeks after the Doris refund disaster, leadership decided, reasonably, let's not just patch the old agent, let's redesign it properly. Great instinct. They pulled together a committee, ops lead, a developer, a customer support manager, and a very enthusiastic intern who had just finished a weekend Agentforce tailhead badges. First meeting, someone puts a slide up, Return Concierge agent, handles all things returns.
I have got Agent Builder open already. Should I start adding sub-agents?
And here is where it falls apart. The support manager asks, what's this agent responsible for specifically? Silence. The developer asks, what happens if it is not sure whether an item is eligible for return? More silence. And the ops lead asks the big one. How will we know 3 months from now if this thing is actually working? Nobody in the room could answer any of the 3 questions. Not because they were not smart people, because nobody had written the capability contract first. They had gone straight from we had an incident to let's build the fix, skipping the design step entirely.
Let me guess. They build it anyway?
They built it anyway. 6 weeks later, Returns Concierge could technically process a return, but it also occasionally tried to process warranty claims, occasionally tried to upsell a discount code mid-return, and once genuinely, I'm scared to say, offered a customer a partial store credit for a jacket that hadn't even shipped yet, because nobody had scope what data it was allowed to reference, and it grabbed a stale cached record instead of the live order status.
So it wasn't malicious. It wasn't even really wrong in a technical sense. It just had no idea what its job actually was.
That's exactly it. An agent without a capability contract does not know where its job ends. It will happily wander into adjacent responsibility because nothing told it not to. And here is the part that really stings. This is now recognized as such a common failure mode that Salesforce own admin guidance describes it directly. Agents chain tools together and decide which tool to use, in what order, and why. Each individual action may be permitted on its own, but the sequence the agent chooses may be something nobody ever intended.
So what did Frankencare do to fix Return Concierge Take 2?
They stopped, brought in someone like a CTA mindset, and forced the committee to answer those 3 questions before touching the agent builder again. Purpose? Reduce manual return processing time while keeping approval accuracy above 98%. Scope? Return eligibility check and refund initiation only. Warranty claims and upsells explicitly excluded, routed to separate subagents owned by separate teams. Escalation? Anything outside a clearly defined eligibility window gets handed to a human, no exceptions. Success metrics, weekly accuracy audit against a random sample of agent decisions.
And that's the version that's still running today.
That's the version still running today. Same underlying platform, same Atlas reasoning engine, same subagents and action concepts from last episode. The only thing that changed was that somebody wrote the contract before writing the config.
Okay, so I am convinced on the contract, but walk me through how it actually turns into what we built in last episode. The subagents, actions, instructions.
This is the satisfying part. It maps almost one to one. Your scope boundaries section becomes your subagent list directly. Each in-scope capability area becomes its own subagent, and anything you explicitly exclude becomes proof that you should not build a subagent for it, or that it belongs to a different agent entirely. Your data access section becomes your agent design constraints, which field an agent is allowed to query or update, and it directly informs the permission set and integration user you will build behind the scene. Your escalation and failure behavior section becomes your instructions almost word for word. Remember our one-liner from last episode? Never issue a refund without confirming failed delivery. If uncertain, escalate. That sentence did not come from nowhere. It came from an escalation clause in a capability contract. And your success matrix section becomes what you actually track in Agentforce monitoring and testing tool once the agent is live. You are not guessing whether it's working. You defined working back in week 1.
So the contract isn't extra paperwork bolted on top of the CTA process. It's basically is the CTA process, just applied to an agent instead of an integration or a data model.
That's exactly it is. Same discipline you would apply to a designing an integration architecture or a sharing model or a multi-org strategy. Capability first, boundaries second, implementation third. Agents don't feel a pass on that just because they feel more magical than a flow.
Rapid fire. Does every agent need a full formal capability contract, even a tiny internal one?
Scale it to the risk. A low-stakes internal FAQ agent might get a 5-line version. A customer-facing financial agent gets a full document reviewed by your design authority. The format scales, but the discipline does not disappear.
Who should actually write this contract, the architect or the business stakeholders?
Both together in the same room. The business stakeholder owns purpose and success metrics. They know the outcome. The architect owns scope, data access, and escalation. They know the guardrail. If only one side writes it, you get either an agent with no technical boundaries or a technically perfect agent that solves the wrong problems.
Last one. What if the business changes their mind 3 weeks into the build?
Then the contract changes on purpose as a visible decision, not silently through a scope creep Slack message. That's the whole value of writing it down. Change becomes a conversation, not a surprise. Today's checklist: define the business capability before the feature. Write an agent capability contract, purpose, scope, data access, escalation, success matrix. Pick your agent pattern deliberately: conversational, proactive, ambient, autonomous, or collaborative before you open Agent Builder. And map that contract directly into your subagents, actions, and instructions. So nothing gets built that wasn't already decided on paper.
So next episode, we actually go build that thing with these patterns at scale?
Next episode: subagents, actions, and instructions without the confusion. Reusable patterns, naming conventions, and how to keep this from turning into spaghetti once you have got 15 subagents instead of 2.
So, homework for our listeners. Go find one agent you have already shipped and try to write its capability contract retroactively, but you can't fill in all 5 sections cleanly.
That's a great homework assignment actually.
I have my moment. I am allegedly stitched together from spare parts, not spare ideas.
Fair distinction. That's episode 12. Next week, episode 13. Subagents, actions, and instructions without the confusion.